Good evening, afternoon or morning. Movie Cat is at the microphone, and today I will tell you about the American road movie, Interstate 60 Episodes of the Road.
You little stud muffin, you want to take advantage of a girl who can't say no.
Two friends in a bar discuss whether there are wish-granting creatures in American culture, like Irish leprechauns or Arabian genies. Heard this, a man comes up to the guys and says that in America wishes are fulfilled by a certain O.W. Grant, where O.W. means one wish. O.W. Grant, supposedly the offspring of the union of a leprechaun and an American Indian girl, an immortal half-breed who can often be found on Interstate 60, and if he likes you, he will grant your wish honestly, although in most cases he likes, to put it mildly, to play pranks. He can be recognized by his red bow tie and monkey-shaped smoking pipe. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a guy in a red bow tie and with a monkey pipe on a bicycle crashes into the open car door. A businessman comes out of there, and while he is helping O.W. Grant get up, the truck runs over the businessman's mobile phone that has fallen out. The businessman falls into hysterics because of this, and he screams that he wants this to never happen. Within a second after these words, the events are exactly repeated. With the exception of one detail, Grant does not crash into the businessman's car door, and the man, carried away by talking on the phone, falls under the wheels of the truck. Neil Oliver is a young man from a wealthy family who dreams of becoming an artist. His father, a successful lawyer, considers his son's passion a whim. Recently, Neil constantly dreams of the same unknown girl. He draws her and constantly thinks about what these dreams mean. Today he celebrates his 22nd birthday. Over lunch at a restaurant, his father gives Neil a red BMW convertible and a letter of introduction to the Bradford Lawyers Association. Neil does not want to be a lawyer, and his favorite color is blue, not red, so the guy concludes that his father made both gifts for himself. He wants to give back both presents, but prefers not to quarrel with his father. Their waiter turns out to be O.W. Grant, but Neil, of course, does not know it. Grant hears Neil's wish to get an answer for his life. Grant decides to fulfill this wish, and for this, he drops a bucket on Neil's head. Neil wakes up in the hospital. Dr. Ray comes to him to test whether Neil's perception is distorted after the bucket. The guy fails the test because the doctors playing cards have red spades and black hearts. In this way, Dr. Ray wants to show that we often see what we expect to see, and not what is actually there. Later, Neil tells another doctor that his colleague Dr. Ray is quite interesting. The doctor says they don't have employees named Ray. After leaving the hospital, Neil meets his father in his office. Father reports he has already arranged an interview for an internship at a law firm on October 15th. Later, Neil has lunch with friends at a cafe where they are served fortune cookies. Niall's cookie says October 15th. Are you sure? Such awareness does not seem to be typical for cookies, but when friends decide to take a look themselves, the note turns out to be empty. The next day, Neil starts noticing advertisements on the streets of the girl he was dreaming about. When he calls the number on the poster, the answering machine on the other end makes an appointment for him personally, Neil Oliver, at the office on the 13th floor. There is no button for the 13th floor in the office center elevator, but the poster girl tells him to press 10+3. At the office, Neil unexpectedly meets Ray, who offers him a job to deliver a package to the city of Denver. What's inside the box and how much Neil will get for the job, Ray refuses to say. According to the terms, Neil must not lose the package on the way, not try to look inside, and he has time to deliver it in 12 days. Ray suggests that this is not so much a job, but an opportunity to ride a new car and clear his mind before an interview at Bradford. At the end, Ray asks to sign the contract in blood. After this, Ray tells there will be a killer somewhere on the road. Ray says that Denver can be reached via Interstate 60. Not finding it on the maps, Neil goes to look for Interstate 60 to where it could be, between 55th and 61st. Suddenly, on the way, he meets O.W. Grant, who gives Neil a gift, Magic 8 Ball, which gives answers. Neil asks the ball, does Interstate 60 exist? And the ball answers, for you, yes. O.W. Grant admits that he fulfills people's wishes, and Neil's one to find answers he liked because it shows of the mind work and not greed. Grant tells when the wishes are selfish, he does not fulfill them very honestly. For example, when a couple wished to be together forever, Grant blew them up in a wedding limousine. And when a man wanted to have sex with supermodels every day and without consequences, Grant began to send him porn magazines and napkins. On the way, the poster girl once again points Neil in the right direction, and he finally pulls out onto Interstate 60. The guy is pretty sure that this girl is the recipient of the package. Neil and Grant stop by a roadside cafe where one man eats dozens of meals at a time on a bet. Neil finds out that this man was very fond of food and dreamed that more food could be placed in his stomach. Grant fulfills his wish by making his stomach bottomless. Now he can eat as much as he wants and even earns money from betting. But he has lost the ability to enjoy food. Later on the road, Neil sees a girl by the road and decides to give her a ride. The girl admits that she has dedicated her life to having sex with everyone she meets in search of the perfect lover. She invites Neil to become the next 2461st lover, but Neil refuses her, having discovered for himself that anyone can become unique not only by doing something, but also by refusing something. Towards nightfall, Neil is stopped by a woman. She is desperate as her son has fled to Benton. The woman promises to pay if Neil takes her there. O.W. Grant thinks he's already helped Neil tune in to Interstate 60 and gets out of the car. Neil is taking a woman to Benton, a city where the age of majority comes at 13. And where the euphoria drug is legally and free of charge, which causes lifelong addiction from the very first dose. The teenager has already used a dose and does not want to live with his mother. The sheriff of Benton explains that euphoria addicts get their dose for free. They eat and drink for free, and at nights they can have fun at discos. Only in return they should work during the day. To Neil, this situation seems like slavery, but the sheriff assures him that people who are drugged, who are not responsible for anything, do not feel miserable at all. Sheriff adds that they found the answer, and he's Neil sure his life is better. The mother has no right to take her son, but she cannot leave him either, so she uses the drug and stays in Benton. The next day, Neil gives a ride to a certain Bob Cody, who says he hates lies with all his heart. At the gas station, they see a homeless man with a sign, working for food. Bob gives him an apple and asks him to wipe his windshield. When the homeless man refuses, Bob deduces that he has been lied to in writing. Unbuttoning his shirt, under which the bomb is, Bob starts the timer and turns it off only when the homeless man agrees to clean the windshield. On the way, Neil finds out that Bob has lung cancer and wants to devote the rest of his life to fighting lies with the help of an explosive belt. Later, the passenger gives Neil his business card and exits. After dropping Bob off, Neil, out of professional curiosity, stops by a fake art museum to look at copies of famous paintings. However, Neil learns from the owner of the museum that in fact the original paintings of the great masters are exhibited here, under the guise of cheap copies. There is also a portrait of the founder of the museum, which turns out to be O.W. Grant. On the way, Neil comes across a fork. To the left is Denver, his destination, and to the right, Morlow. The magic ball says that Lynn, the girl from his dreams, is in Morlow now. Neil decides that he still has enough time and he goes after the girl. The city of Morlow, the entire population of which are lawyers who earn a living in litigation with random travelers. Therefore, there Neil immediately finds himself in prison on a ridiculous accusation of hitting a cat by one of the residents of the city. In prison, Neil sees Lynn through the window. At the trial, where absolutely everyone, including the judge, knows that the accusation against Neil is a lie, the guy decides to call Bob Cody as a witness. After unbuttoning his shirt and setting the timer on, Bob quickly solves the circular deception problem in the legal system and frees prisoners. Neil and Lynn immediately find a common language and leave Morlow together. They spend the night at the Fork Motel. As Lynn falls asleep, Neil spends the rest of the night painting a beautiful landscape painting of the motel. The next morning, Neil realizes that the contract must be fulfilled and the package to be delivered. The ball suggests that by taking Lynn with him, Neil will put her in danger, so Neil leaves for Denver alone. On the way, Neil learns that the police are chasing the killer in a red BMW. In order not to get caught, Neil gets rid of the car, after which he witnesses the death of a real wanted man. According to the policeman, the deceased guy quarreled with his father and killed him. Neil suggests that the killer could be himself, but from an alternate reality. Having hitchhiked to Denver, Neil meets Ray at the Rainbow Club. He is revealed to be Grant's cousin, who also shows up at the club. The package contains a new monkey pipe for Grant, which he broke when he fell off his bike. Grant lights his pipe, after which Neil passes out and wakes up again in the hospital the day the bucket fell on him. However, he is immediately convinced that his journey was not a dream when he finds a playing card with the Ray Club's logo. After leaving the hospital, Neil goes to his father and strongly refuses both presents, the car and the law school. Then his sister Nancy bursts into the office. It turns out that the painting made in the motel got into an art competition, and a buyer has already been found for it. Neil hurries to the gallery. The buyer, who interested in his painting, is Lynn. Grant, the organizer of the competition, is watching them off to the side. In a conversation with Nancy, he says that Neil and Lynn will be fine now, and then Grant advises the girl to make a wish on her upcoming birthday. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you don't want to get a bucket dropped on you.